Hello, my friends, and welcome back. Thank you very much for being with me again today. When you have a person that you allege, or at least you accuse of doing something wrong, or being a thief, or committing a crime, you always listen to what that person tells you. To know maybe that person has counter arguments or evidence to support his case that he's innocent. Regardless if you might think that he's a criminal or maybe if he committed a crime in the past, you still listen to his logic, verify his statements and or facts that he brings, evidence if he has them available. And you use your brain, you use your experience, you use your knowledge, and you figure things out. There are some things that you can't really ingest if they're so dumb. You say, without even having evidence, to really discard those evidence. But you still have to listen to that person and you make your little assessment. As I said, certain things are so outrageous that it's impossible to happen. Like he's going to tell you, well, actually, I flew on a pig. I just saddled a pig and I flew with a pig to the moon and back. I mean, he doesn't have to provide you evidence, or you have to try to counter that to know that it's an impossibility. You know what I mean? So we have here this evil guy called Putin, and he is going to make some claims. And you and I will use our brains to figure out if he makes sense or not. Set aside all the things, he's a ex-KGB, he's a king manipulator, he's so good, he's so soft, he's so suave. Put at the side the garbage. Just get the information and use your brain, your logic, and figure things out, or at least not figure things out. Discard that Johnny flew on the pig while settled on the pig to the moon. Okay, discard these kind of things. So let's see here. Remember, this is not a video to defend anybody. It's to find out how people, and not only Putin, but our mass media and their mass media, give us information and how they reason. So this article comes from Russia Today from March 14, 2023. Nord Stream blast staged by a state-level actor, Putin says. I got this from Reuters as well. Putin says Nord Stream blast carried out on state level. First say, okay, what will be the evidence? I'm not going to go over the logic of why would, che bono, who benefits, follow the money, who would benefit from blowing those pipelines, because you find out that Russia could have a little interest somewhere, and their interest would be to blame whomever else if they commit the perfect crime. If they commit a perfect crime, then to blame the most obvious suspect, which is the United States of America. That's the biggest suspect. So Russia will have some, but it's not impossible. I'm not saying it's not even, no, it could be. But that implies that's going to be a perfect crime that nobody will find out, committed in someone else's waters, under someone else's protection, under someone else's surveillance. And he goes over there, instead of doing it closer to his shores. It would be easier. And allowing all those guys to verify and fudge and do whatever they want with evidence. Not saying, oh no, it's on our economic territory here, and therefore we're going to be the only ones investigated, and you can't come here. Like Denmark said, like Sweden said, and even Germany tried to get in. And the United States, it's okay with that. Said, well, I would like to participate. And this guy said, no, you can't. Okay, well, I respect you, because that's the way I behave. And Buddy was, see, gentleman. He said, I let you do that. Fucking better. You know better. That's how it was. You don't believe me? You don't have to, because I know we're going to find out the truth in some years. So let's see what this evil guy says. What is his evidence? Or what is his logic? I'm going to read the propaganda newspaper here, Russia Today, for you, not the perfect Reuters, okay? I don't want to read the Reuters because it's too clear and too balanced and too fair. And since I'm a propagandist here I'm going to use these guys. I also think that his translation will be more accurate here than here. And maybe, anyway, let's get going. The Russian president has rubbished Western media reports that I'm quoting, pro-Ukrainian group was behind the attacks. Well, pro-Ukrainian, but you can't say they're Ukrainians, so you can't attach them with that. That was a sneaky thing, not that sneaky. I think it's sneaky for the people with an IQ below 86. Russian President Vladimir Putin has dismissed as, and I'm quoting, nonsense, recent claims that the attack on the Nord Stream natural gas pipelines might have been carried by, and I'm quoting, pro-Ukrainian activists, end quote. He made the remarks on Tuesday during a visit to an aircraft plant in the capital city of Russia's Buryatia Republic, Ulan-Ude. And I'm quoting now the translation of the Russians of their Russian president. I am sure this is completely nonsense. An explosion of this kind, of such power, at such depth, can only be carried out by specialists and supported by the entire power of a state, processing certain technologies, Putin told reporters. Media support, this is, I think, his only argument right here. And he is not asking you to believe that, probably asks you your logic to think about things. And you have the other story that's these guys are gonna tell you here, the story. The other story that you're supposed to believe. So between this right here, what this guy said, and what the Germans said later, you make your, and the Americans said, and Seymour Hersh said, you make your judgment, obviously. Media reports suggesting that a shadowy pro-Ukrainian group might have been behind the blast on the pipelines at the bottom of the Baltic Sea emerged last week. The New York Times cited anonymous sources saying that, and I'm quoting, no American or British nationals were involved in the operation. How do you know? How do you know? That means you know who did it. Otherwise, you can't discard them just like that. You have to know that those guys were not by knowing who they are. Otherwise, you can't discard them. How would you discard them? How do you know that? Unless you know the origin. So again, separately, multiple German outlets reported that the country's investigators probing the blast had found a yacht allegedly used for the attack, which belonged to a Polish-based firm but was apparently owned by two Ukrainians. So you see, private individuals, the yacht was just Polish-based firm. It doesn't mean that it was the Polish government. It's all, no Americans or British. It just exonerates everybody. That's what they do. Exonerate the Americans, the British, the Poles, the Ukrainians, the whomever, everybody, and then they let you, we don't know who did it. How do you know they were pro-Ukrainians? How do you know they're pro-Ukrainian? Do you know who they are? Yeah, I mean, you ought to know. The yacht reports emerged shortly after the bombshell investigation by veteran American journalist Seymour Hersh, another suspicious thing, who said U.S. President Joe Biden's administration had staged the attack on the pipelines with assistance from Norway. According to his sources, the explosives were planned by the U.S. Navy divers last June under the guise of a NATO exercise and detonated remotely in September. The White House was quickly to dismiss the allegations by the Pulitzer Prize-winning journalist, branding them utterly false and complete fiction. Yeah, with the help of Norway. Now, let's think about it a little bit. Let's think a little bit more. Let's put it this way. Obviously, the Russians and Sputnik, Russia Today, likes Seymour Hersh's, idea and whatever he came up with. They don't like the other ones. What's strange is the explosions occur in September 20 something, I think, 20 or something. So October, November, December, January, February, we're almost March, almost 6 months. And let's say 5 months, let's put 5 months, which is put it 3 weeks ago or so. So in 5 months, nobody came with anything. In 5 months, Seymour Hersh, an investigator and a journalist, however you want to call him, comes with a story, with some sources, detailed, Okay, now I'm not saying that's true. He comes with that. And what a coincidence, the Americans deny it, and in 2 weeks they come with their version. with their investigation. So you stayed 5 months and you were working on it, and Seymour just beat you 2 weeks. It was just a coincidence, right? No, they had to cover the damage done by that guy with their story, because his story was catching up not with the mainstream media, which put it on their butts and stayed on it, but whenever the Americans came, the government, not the American, the government of America came with their story 2 weeks after this guys. So 5 months and 2 weeks versus 5 months. They beat them with 2 weeks. I don't believe that, okay? They immediately, the mass media, every little outlet of mainstream media, this is what they, oh yeah, the US intelligence, anonymous, this, really? It's like a switch, a button was pushed. Before that, it was like zip, nothing. With this, everything. That's another suspicious thing. I made a video on this, so I don't know, I'm not going to bother you here to explain what the counter arguments are for all that story with all those 6 people, 5 men, 1 lady, and then the yacht, and then how much between 1,000 and 1,500 kilograms of, no, between 1,000 I think and 2,000, something like this, kilograms of dynamite or whatever explosive you needed. You need a crane, you need equipment to get in, you have to go down 80 meters down there. Below, you need a chamber for the, how do you call it, depressuring, you know, depressurization chamber. When you come from that deep, I don't know if 80 meters, which is about, let's say 90 yards, which is about, multiplied by 3, I guess, right? About 300 feet, let's put it, 300 feet deep. And when you come back, I don't know if you need the pressuring chamber, which, you know, helps your body to come back so you don't get all kind of air bubbles in your blood, and then, you know, take it easy. So there's many, and then again, the explosives goes through Germany, goes through Poland, nobody sees it. These guys, the Americans know everything but the names, and they know there's pro-Ukrainians, but they don't know their names. But they know they're not Americans and British. It's so much, it's, you know how it is? It is like a Hollywood movie. And the Hollywood movie is focused on a certain kind of strata of the population. And they said it, it's not me saying, that they're targeting people with an intellectual level of a 13-year-old person. They said it. That's their bracket. That's what they're aiming at. Not too intelligent, because they're going to lose the people that would not understand what happened. What happened? He just opened the door. What happened? Okay, I didn't understand that. So no, that was too complicated. Open the door. So what Putin says, and I'm taking Putin as a little bit, let's put it mildly, more knowledgeable as an individual, because he worked in certain kind of areas than all these guys who come and tell you, I'm a politician and I'm this and I'm that and I was pole dancer and, you know, it doesn't mean the guys cannot know or not be informed by their intelligence and so on. But I don't believe the British or the US intelligence at all. At all. I mean, history speaks for themselves, not me because I don't like them or something. I like them very much. I think they're I was about to say useful. Useless. No, they're useful. They need to be there. The problem is, I think they lost their way. And I think there's a state inside state. So it's not like they're controlled by how they were supposed to be controlled, by whom. I think they're just kind of on their own, and that's not good. That's not good at all, because they have so much power and so much secrecy. And they can cause harm legally. Legally, they don't have to go, you know, like the old times. No. They can do it, come and arrest you with a warrant if you want, signed by 50 judges if you want. Doesn't mean anything. They will. The judges will sign. Why? Because the judges first are on that side, and if they don't, they're probably going to find out immediately, going to say, hey, I thought you kind of watched some child, this kind of site. Have you visited this kind of sites on the internet? Yeah, okay, well, you know where you're going, so sign right here. He's going to sign with his feet and his legs and with the mouth. Anyway, I don't know who did it, but difference between United States and the rest is too big. I don't know if Seymour Hersh's variant is the accurate one or not, but that one with the yacht is really Hollywood childish like. Thank you very much for being with me again today. Stay strong, stay smart, look for the truth, and be just.